and to highlight how breastfeeding and lactation medicines are practiced and supported in different countries. We have an excellent group of speakers. As you can see here, representing India, Indonesia, Malaysia, Philippines, Singapore, and Thailand. And each speaker will have about 7 minutes, to share insights into breastfeeding, support, and their World Breastfeeding Week's experience in their respective country. We hope that today's presentations will not only allow us to learn from one another, but also stimulates ideas for stronger regional and international collaborations. Without further ado, let us begin our journey for today's sessions. And I'm delighted to introduce our first speaker from India, Dr. Manisha Gogri, a breastfeeding and lactation medicine physician and an international board lactation consultant with 17 years of experience in Mumbai, India. Okay, Dr. Manisha has served as secretary of BPNI for 7 years and is a national trainer for IYCF and IBCLCs, and also served as their ABM volunteers. In 2025, she received an award for her contributions to mother support activities and academic excellence. So, Dr. Manisha, we are looking forward to hearing about breastfeeding support in your country. Over to you, Manisha. I just off the slide share.
Thank you, Zara. Let me just share my screen. And okay. So, namaste, everyone. Thank you for this opportunity to share experiences from my region. I will be mainly focusing on the pioneering work of my state organization, which is Breastfeeding Promotion Network of India in the state of Maharashtra. It is an NGO working for the protection, promotion, and support of breastfeeding for over 3 decades. This year's World Breastfeeding Week theme is Breastfeeding for a Sustainable Start in Life, Strengthen What Works. So we at BPNI Maharashtra have been building our sustainable warm chain of support since 1994. Let me share with you what has worked for us. For us, World Breastfeeding Week is not only about public awareness, it is a week of intense sensitization, advocacy, and training of healthcare providers. We run drives in the hospital OPDs, maternity wards, and student competitions in medical colleges. Each year, the departments of obstetrics, pediatrics, neonatology, preventive medicine, and the nursing schools hold a joint World Breastfeeding Week celebration. Our members conduct various online and in-person sessions for doctors, nurses, and students, as well as awareness sessions for families in the community. Now, let me tell you a bit about our unique mother support group, which was created in 1995. The idea was simple but radical. Train women from the community and mothers themselves to counsel other mothers. Since then, our experienced mother support counselors have come to serve 84 hospitals across my city of Mumbai, both private and municipal, reaching mothers in antenatal clinics, labor rooms, postnatal wards, and the NICU, and on home visits as well. Roughly a quarter of the city's mother-baby diets pass through this network, the tune of 66,000 each year. These mother support counselors have now also become the backbone of our teaching faculty, and many are now IBCLCs and IYCN trainers. Support created trainers, and trainers now create more support. The mother support group is just one of the 9 key ideas from our culture of innovation. Each idea on this slide carries a lesson. I believe travels beyond our region. Most of these ideas are the brainchild of my mentor, Dr. Prashant Gangal, and currently being put into practice under the leadership of our president, Dr. Sushma Malik, and the entire BPNI Maharashtra team. Let me walk you through them. The 4-dimensional immunization clinic. At Every immunization visit, the health worker not only administers the dose of vaccine, but also discusses about diet, development, and drugs. The lesson is to attach feeding counseling to our highest coverage point of contact, which is the immunization visit. The next one is The Breast Crawl, a 2007 documentary in different languages. I'm sure most of you know this one. It gave a method of early initiation that continues to be used widely. The Malishwali Project. 500 traditional massage women who usually visit postpartum mothers at home were trained and tested in the basics of breastfeeding, and they became our health messengers. The lesson here is to build your workforce from the caregivers your community and culture already trusts. Next, the Hirkani's room, a dedicated private space in the workplace to express, store, and feed, named after a milkmaid who in the 17th century scaled a fort's cliff in the dark to reach and breastfeed a baby. When we shared her story with Lalishi League International, they titled their book on working mothers as Hirkani's daughters. Today, there are Hirkani rooms now in most government and municipal hospitals and even in public places such as temples and bus stations, as the concept was adopted by the state government. Next is renaming the labor rooms as the baby welcome room or the Navjat Shishu Agaman Kaksh, because a positive environment can help increase the mother's oxytocin and lead to a successful initiation of breastfeeding. We built the Shishu Poshan app, which was a feeding guidance in 3 languages, which now has over 100,000 free downloads. Our IYCN and BFHI training methods are simple and locally adapted. Another new concept we recently introduced is the horizontal BFHI. Rather than one hospital adopting all 10 steps, we focus on perfecting a single step across every facility before moving on to the next. In 2009, we brought the IBCLC exam to India, so for the first time, our clinicians could earn this international credential without leaving the country. Happy to inform that I qualified as an IBCLC in this very first batch. We have since helped upgrade our 96-hour training course, and today we teach postgraduate medical students, faculty, and other healthcare workers at the medical colleges and prepare candidates for the IBCLC exam every year. This is structured didactic teaching along with hands-on training and assessment and is accredited by the IBLC. We have devised a simple IYCN training module in 4 different languages. Over 3 decades, we have trained over 70,000 health workers and exported the same model to 7 states in India. It sustains itself through a cascade. We train and certify the district trainers who then train the rest, reaching till the grassroots level. We also produced the Ma training videos with UNICEF Maharashtra, which are 14 videos in Marathi, the state language. They are free on YouTube for use by the trainers. So our training engine runs whether or not BPNI is in the room. That is what a sustainable support system means to us. 9 ideas, none of them expensive, all of them exportable. This is our answer to this year's call, Strengthen What Works. Recently, the Maharashtra Public Health Department issued a directive making antenatal breastfeeding counseling mandatory in all government maternity services, thanks to the policy and FAQ which were drafted by BPNI Maharashtra. This is a crucial milestone towards our horizontal BFHI concept. So, some of our important goals for the next decade are BFHI in every government and municipal facility, implementing horizontal BFHI, and bringing skin to skin breast crawl and early initiation into every operating room along with the labor room as the cesarean rates are rising. On behalf of the entire BPNI Maharashtra team, I thank ABM for this opportunity to share the initiatives from my region. We are eager to collaborate and learn from all of you. Thank you.
Thank you very much from our colleagues, Dr. Manisha from India. And that's very excellent. It's just so, interesting to see how much you have done over there. Meanwhile, at the moment, we have more than 100 participants with us. And you can see from the chat box, you come from all over the place. I can see from Indonesia, from Philippines, from Thailand, and from USA. Yeah, so many. Welcome, everyone. Because we are quite packed with the session today, if you have any question for the speakers, kindly write at the chats and then you just address which speaker you want to ask questions. So perhaps, the speaker can have a look at the questions and answer those. Okay. So now let us move to our second speakers from India. We are going to Indonesia. Let me just share my screen just to introduce you who's our next speaker. Okay, it's my pleasure now to welcome Dr. Asti Praburini, the pediatricians and also IBCLC, and also a fellow of ABM. Okay, Dr. Asti has 36 years of experience as a pediatrician and has been a dedicated advocate for breastfeeding as an essential foundation for maternal and child health. Among her many contributions, she established Indonesia's first hospital-based lactation team and currently leads all physician lactation teams across several hospitals. She is also a national and international speaker and provides pro bono pediatric care through LKC Dompet Dufa. Dr. Asti, we are here delighted to have you with us. And please share with us, the Indonesian experience of breastfeeding support and World Breastfeeding Week. Over to you, Dr. Asti.
Okay, thank you, Zara. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh, everybody. I'm Asti from Indonesia. I'm going to talk about breastfeeding in Indonesia, the journey from promotion and public support to clinical breastfeeding medicine. This month, August, is our Independence Day in 17th of August. That's why I wear this white and red as our flag. Yes, this is this is South Asia. All of us here, and this is Indonesia. We have 17,000 islands, small islands, and we have five big islands here, and our people are 280 a million of of people. Yes, this is our ancestors are all breastfed. This is from Java, and this is from Papua and from Sumatra. And nowadays, this is Dr. Ratih, modern women who breastfed. There are her three children. Yes. What is the cause of breastfeeding in Indonesia? We have Pancasila, Indonesian foundational philosophy and a moral basic for public life and policy. And the belief, the first point of the five principles are belief in the one and only God. We have six legal religion in Indonesia: Confucian, Buddhist, Hindu, Christian, Catholic, and Islam. And all these religion has holy book, and the holy book stated that Allah, God, asked us women to breastfeed for 2 years. This is the basic of foundation in our life. And also there is a legal backing in Indonesia, a legal one, from 2012 and then 2009, and the update are in 2023, that there is a policy direction to protect breastfeeding and restrict inappropriate promotion of breast milk substitutes. Uh, Article 42, every baby has the right to exclusive breast milk from birth to 6 months, except for medical indication, and continued breastfeeding up to age 2 with complementary foods. And the government is responsible for policy and oversight to guarantee to this right. If somebody is not obeying this policy, then she or he could be punished for 1 year or 50 uh, or 50 million. And if it's the if when the offense is committed by a corporation, criminal responsibility may also apply to corporate actors with a functional role, order giving authority, controlling position, and or beneficial ownership, with a punishment of 2 billion for offenses punishable by imprisonment under 7 years, and until to 50 billion for offenses punishment by death penalty, life imprisonment, or to 20 years imprisonment. So this is very serious in our country. Yes, in 1978 and 1987, the exclusive breastfeeding rate is only 36%, but now in 2024, 2 years ago, it is increased until 66.4%. There are registered breastfeeding counselors, about 4,100 counselors trained by Ministry of Health and Perinasia and Selasi. And also we have BCLCs, the data from January 2026, and 3 ABM in Indonesia. Okay, I'm going to talk about perinasia in the Indonesian Society of Perinatology, built in 1981, established through a charter signed by 59 founding members. And now we have already 25 branches in Indonesia. We also train lactation management training in 2002, and in 2009 until now, 40 hours breastfeeding counselor training. So this is a very good NGO. And also we have a brief tribute to organization that have breastfeeding support for mother families and breastfeeding communities across Indonesia. Selasi, founded by Dr. Utami Rusli, pediatrician FABM, founded in 2003, and Asosiasi Ibu Menyusui Indonesia Breastfeeding Mother Association, founded in 2007. Dompet to Ava, where I work, it is a pro bono, found in 1993, and now a hospital group, Permata Mufida Group, as the also very support for breastfeeding. And then I built this team in 2009 of physician, IBCLC doctors, mostly lady doctors, consists of pediatrician, dentist, obstetrician, neonatologist, physiotherapist, acupuncture surgeon, and psychiatrist. This is the team. That's all lady doctors. We have a routine meeting to talk about presentation of cases, lactation cases, and journal reading for lactation journal. And now it's already 19 years. We see 17 years. First built in 2009 Asian team, and then we train, make practicing together doctors. So, and now also we talk in international good lactation, and also we have already been in the Philippines, Rio de Janeiro, Egypt, US, and then also Australia as a national and international speaker. And this is the hospital, a Mofidah group that has 5 now in Jakarta uh, around, and also now one in Palembang in South Sumatra. There are still we do the all the things about breastfeeding, abscesses, still breastfed for 2 years, and then also adoption, and also nipple confusion and etc. We have now uh, plenty of lady doctors here. This is also the 3 hospitals also in South Jakarta, Rumah Sakit Alis Ibrahim Malisi, and in Karawaci, Rumah Sakit Islam Ashifa, and also in Puri Cinere Hospital in Depok, West Java. So this is our journal publication in clinical lactation and also Indian otology. This is yeah, this is the yeah, and this is all of our team here for Indonesia. This is the name of the doctors. Thank you very much. That's Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Maybe it will last beyond with my junior colleagues, a lot of them. Thank you very much. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. What an excellent presentation, Dr. Asji. We have a lot of resources over there, I can see, and it's all over the regions, in Indonesia, as you said, more than 17,000 places there. Right. Now we can see that we have nearly 130 participants around with us. Please keep sharing where you're from and your name over there so we can see all of you over the place. It's so good to see that. We have heard from India, we have heard from Indonesia, and now let me just share my screen. Our third speaker. Okay, I would like to introduce our third speaker is Dr. Izora Monoto. Okay. Dr. Izora Monoto is an associate professor, a consultant, a family medicine specialist, and a senior lecturer at Hospital Chancellor Tunku Mukhriz Faculty of Medicine, UPM. Dr. Izora is also an IBCLC with a strong passion for breastfeeding medicine, medical education, and maternal and child health. She currently serves as president of the Malaysian Lactation Consultant Association, also known as MALCA, and has held international leadership role with the International Lactation Consultant Association. Okay. She is actively involved in training healthcare professionals and breastfeeding peer counselors. So, Dr. Izora, we're looking forward to hearing from you from a Malaysia perspective. Over to you, Izora.
All right, thank you, Dr. Zara. Assalamualaikum and good evening, everyone. Let me just share my screen. Right. All right. Good evening, esteemed colleagues, fellow panelists, and also members of the Academy of Breastfeeding Medicine. It is a profound honor for me to represent Malaysia on this international stage today. Right. Breastfeeding isn't just a maternal power. It's an ecosystem. So today I will share about Malaysia's public health journey, how a continuous warm chain of clinical, social, and family support drives successes. So Malaysia held a unique place in global advocacy history. Since 1991, Penang, Malaysia has proudly housed the global headquarters of WABA, the World Alliance for Breastfeeding Action. From our shores, WABA coordinates World Breastfeeding Week across more than 120 nations. For Malaysia, this is not just an annual awareness campaign, it is an operational anchor for institutional policy change. But our local landscape is also highly complex. Malaysia is a vibrant, multi-ethnic nation of approximately 35 million people, spanning Malay, Chinese, Indian, and also indigenous communities. Each culture brings deeply rooted traditional confinement beliefs, and our public health challenge has been to design a system in which evidence-based lactation medicine integrates respectfully with these diverse cultural practices, transforming family networks into valuable partners in breastfeeding support. The perinatal cohort studies in Malaysia reveals a striking breastfeeding paradox. Over 95% of pregnant Malaysian mothers express a firm, near universal intent to exclusively breastfeed. Yet, our National Health and Morbidity Survey data shows that by 6 months postpartum, the exclusive breastfeeding rates dropped to 47.1%. So the gap between universal prenatal intention and postpartum reality reveals a hard truth. The primary barrier is the post-discharge breakdown in structural support, and closing this gap to reach the 70% national target is our critical policy frontier. So to bridge this gap, Malaysia structures support as a deliberate hierarchy. At the foundation is a powerful centralized commitment from the Ministry of Health, and this national policy cascades down into a highly accessible primary maternal child health clinic, known as locally as the Klinik Kesihatan Ibu dan Anak, which scales upward to specialized baby-friendly hospitals, dedicated lactation clinics, and workplace facilities. Our strategy is to ensure that wherever a mother interacts with the healthcare systems, the breastfeeding is protected. And while early initiation rates are improving rapidly, maintaining the exclusive breastfeeding for 6 months remains the core focus of our targeted clinical interventions. So we secured the crucial first 24 hours of life through rigid institutional protocols. We are extremely proud to report that 100% of our public Ministry of Health hospitals are certified baby-friendly hospital initiative institutions. This system-wide success guarantees immediate skin-to-skin contact, early initiation of breastfeeding within the first hour of life, and mandatory continuous 24-hour rooming in to ensure that early lactation is established successfully and without clinical delay. However, the clinical safety net built in the hospital often tears once a mother is discharged home. We have identified 3 primary structural friction points that trigger premature formula supplementation. So the first is returning to formal employment, which is the single largest trigger for abandonment due to lack of physical pumping facilities. Second, mothers face aggressive digital marketing of commercial breast milk substitutes, which erodes confidence during the early stages. Third, postpartum isolation at home leaves mothers without guidance, especially as primary care nurses at Klinik Kesihatan face heavy workloads and wear multiple competing clinical hats. So this brings us to the core philosophy of our panel today. Breastfeeding is undoubtedly natural biological act, but its long-term success is entirely an ecosystem achievement. So to build a true resilient warm chain, we must weave together the two distinct but overlapping support systems, the formal framework of clinical medicine and national policy, and the friendly village of community empathy, workplace support, and familial commitment. One cannot succeed without the other, and support begins before birth with the national policy and continues long after mothers return home through community empathy. So to operationalize this friendly village, Malaysia leverages 3 vital community pillars. First, the mother support groups establish safe physical and digital spaces where mothers exchange lived experience and real-time encouragement without fear of judgment. Second, the breastfeeding peer counselors where trained NGO and community champions who offer empathetic, localized guidance. Because most peer counselors here currently serve voluntarily, introducing paid financial incentives is a critical policy move to attract, retain, and scale this vital workforce. And third, the cultural integration. In Malaysia, multi-ethnic society, we do not work against traditional confinement practices like Malay pantang or the Chinese and Indian postpartum traditions. Instead, we train healthcare providers and peer counselors to work together with the grandmothers and the elders, ensuring that multi-generational family beliefs actively reinforce rather than to conflict with clinical lactation advice. So these slides illustrate how these two tracks complement each other. The formal framework is clinical, structured, and medicalized, led by physicians, IBCLCs, nurses who manage physiological challenges. And the friendly village operates with a personal, compassionate tone, providing psychological endurance, flexible scheduling, and empathetic reassurance. When we visualize this integrated ecosystem, we see the concentric layers of protection radiating from mother and the infant at the core. Surrounding the diet is the family and the community peer network, where structured education for fathers can increase exclusive breastfeeding continuation over 30%. And radiating outward are the healthcare team, supportive employers, and also overarching government policies. If any of these ring collapse, the mother will be exposed and the warm chain breaks. Breastfeeding must be insulated by every layer of the society. Sustaining the warm chain when a working mother returns to formal employment requires two essential pillars. First, the physical infrastructures, dedicated hygienic private lactation rooms and cold storage, and also the psychological safety where statutory paid pumping breaks, flexible work arrangements, and also organizational culture that normalizes pumping without any professional stigma. A truly resilient warm chain must also withstand climate disruptions. As you know that Malaysia experienced severe annual monsoon floods, displacing thousands into temporary shelters where sanitation and electricity are compromised. So in this crisis setting, uncontrolled infant formula donations pose several clinical hazards as unboiled water triggers waterborne outbreaks such as cholera. To protect infants, Ministry of Health Malaysia enforces infant and young child feeding in emergencies protocols, mandating dedicated dignified lactation corners and trained responders in all relief centres. So as we look into the future, Malaysia is working hard to close the gap between current practice and our national goals, expanding the BFSI to private hospitals, enforcing statutory paid pumping breaks, institutionalizing paid incentives for community peer counsellors, and strengthening legal codes against the unethical formula marketing. So in conclusion, let me leave you with three core lessons. Policies matters, but people matter more. Institutional mandates must translate into compassionate, culturally sensitive, and localized clinical care. Second, mothers need skilled support, not just information. So we must compensate and empower our community peer counsellors to help mothers. Breastfeeding is everyone's responsibility. Protecting the warm chain is a shared public health duty in both peace and crisis. So breastfeeding is a natural act, but successful breastfeeding is a community achievement. That's all from me from Malaysia. Thank you. And I have a video to show you about our World Breastfeeding Week across the years. Let me just see if I can play it from here. Thank you.
Thank you very much for your presentation and for the last video that's actually, summarize all the things that you have mentioned, and that's such a great presentations. Right, so are you still with us? Can we continue now to our next country? Let me share you the slides. The next one on our list for today is from Philippines. Okay, so let us now travel virtually to the Philippines, and I would like to welcome Dr. Catherine De Leon. who is a pediatrician and international board-certified lactation consultant. Inspired by the need to provide evidence-based breastfeeding care, Dr. Catherine has dedicated her career to promoting breastfeeding through clinical practice, education, and advocacy in both Kuwait and the Philippines. She is also actively involved in advancing breastfeeding and lactation medicine as an emergency physician specialty in the Philippines through leadership, research, and professional education. Dr. Catherine, we are very pleased to have you with us. So kindly share with us, the Philippine experience of World Breastfeeding support. Over to you,
Thank
Catherine.
you. Thank you, Zara. I will just share my screen. So, mabuhay from the Philippines. If you're hearing rain in the background, that's because we're in the middle of a typhoon right now. So, hold on. Okay. So, happy World Breastfeeding Week to all. Thank you to ABM for organizing this webinar and for inviting the Philippines to be part of this conversation. This is actually an excellent opportunity to learn from each other's experience as we work towards a shared vision and goal for the breastfeeding families that we serve. This year's theme reminds us that breastfeeding succeeds not because mothers try harder, but because societies build sustainable systems that enable them to succeed. In the Philippines, this belief has guided our breastfeeding journey for decades. It has shaped our legislation, strengthened our public health programs, mobilized communities, and more recently, inspired the emergence of breastfeeding and lactation medicine as a growing clinical discipline. I'd like to share our experience through three interconnected pillars: protecting breastfeeding through legislation, supporting breastfeeding through community efforts, and advancing breastfeeding through professional excellence. Our legislative and policy framework recognizes that breastfeeding is a journey and not a single event. It supports mother across the continuum of care from pregnancy to childbirth, through maternity leave and early postpartum period, to the return to the workplace, while promoting continued breastfeeding throughout the child's first 2 years of life and beyond. It also provides guidance to protect and support breastfeeding during emergencies and disasters, ensuring that mothers and infants continue to receive appropriate care even at times of crisis. But legislation and policies alone do not change lives. Their true value lies actually in how they are translated into action. And our frameworks are implemented through the collective efforts of government agencies, healthcare institutions, local communities, workplace, and professional organizations. World Breastfeeding Week provides a national platform to strengthen, celebrate, and renew our collective commitment to them. This year's Breastfeeding Awareness Month officially opened with a stop and salute ceremony at the historic Independence Flagpole in Rizal Park. Holding the flag ceremony, raising ceremony at one of the country's most significant national landmarks reminds us that breastfeeding is more than a health issue. It's an investment in the nation's future. The Philippine Society of Breastfeeding and Lactation Medicine was honored to participate alongside government agencies, breastfeeding mother support groups, partner organizations, reaffirming our shared commitment to breastfeeding families. Throughout August, activities are carried out year-round receive greater visibility and participation. So we have breastfeeding education for expectant parents and families organized by community groups as well as healthcare institutions. Hospitals reinforce baby-friendly practices, and professional organizations host scientific conferences and continuing education programs to strengthen the knowledge and skills of healthcare providers. Workplace, school, and media platform also intensify their advocacy, promoting breastfeeding-friendly environments and sharing evidence-based information with the public. One of our most iconic celebrations during this month is Hakabna, or the Latch On, where hundreds and even thousands of mothers gather to breastfeed simultaneously in a powerful public demonstration of support for breastfeeding. This photo was held, I think, in 2019 at a local mall. So at a designated official time, a countdown is announced. Then all mothers simultaneously latch their children in an effort to normalize and display support for breastfeeding. So as you can see in the picture, these mothers are not just breastfeeding infants, they're breastfeeding toddlers and older kids even. The pandemic did not stop us. The photo on the left is a virtual latch on held via a virtual platform when public gatherings were not allowed. And the photo on the right is a recent one done this week at a maternity ward. So beyond our attempts to break world record, Hakabna sends an even more meaningful message that breastfeeding should be visible, celebrated, and supported by society. So what makes our celebration especially meaningful is the spirit of collaboration. Different government agencies, professional societies, community mother support groups come together to bring the advocacy to life. However, despite the strong advocacy and support efforts, there remains a gap. Some mothers encounter complex breastfeeding challenges that require specialized clinical care. And recognizing this need has led us to another critical pillar, advancing breastfeeding through professional excellence. We are actually very fortunate to have a growing community of healthcare professionals who have been at the forefront of providing expert lactation care, education, and advocacy. However, we saw the need to establish a structured local physician training program dedicated to breastfeeding and lactation medicine, a sustainable program for training clinicians within our own healthcare system. This vision has led to two important milestones. The first milestone was the establishment of the Philippine Society of Breastfeeding and Lactation Medicine, a multidisciplinary professional society dedicated to advancing breastfeeding medicine. Recognizing that breastfeeding is unique in caring not only for a mother and her baby, but also for the family that supports them, the society brings together diverse healthcare professionals to strengthen collaboration, promote evidence-based practice, and elevate the standard of breastfeeding care across the Philippines. The second milestone was the launch of the Philippines' first breastfeeding lactation medicine fellowship training program. This 2-year fellowship was established to complement the expertise of our existing lactation professionals by providing structured, advanced physician training in breastfeeding medicine. Fellows further enrich their learning through participation in the LILAC Fellowship, whose advanced didactic curriculum complements our local clinical training with international perspectives and expertise. So this fellowship program is open to pediatricians, obstetricians, family physicians, and other medical specialties committed to caring for the breastfeeding families. The fellowship aims to standardize clinical competencies, develop future educators and clinical leaders, and expand access to evidence-based breastfeeding care across the country. Together, these milestones mark an important evolution in the Philippines' breastfeeding journey. Building on decades of advocacy and community support, we are now investing in a multidisciplinary workforce capable of delivering coordinated, evidence-based breastfeeding care, ensuring that every breastfeeding family has the support they need, not only to begin breastfeeding, but to succeed throughout their journey. Strengthening what works means recognizing that advocacy alone is no longer enough. Sustainable breastfeeding requires more than public awareness. It requires health systems capable of supporting mothers when breastfeeding becomes challenging. By investing in professional education, multidisciplinary collaboration, and evidence-based care, we are ensuring that every family has access to the care they need when they need it the most. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Catherine. It's very interesting, and I learned new word today, Hakabna, Lechon. And congratulations on your recent milestone achievement. I think that's really great, to have your fellowship training program and also your Philippine Society of Breastfeeding and Lactation Medicine team. Great. So for those who just joined us, feel free to share your names and where you come from in the chat box. I can see now we have more people coming with us. And we are here to our next country, I would like to welcome our next speaker from Singapore. Okay, let me introduce. My pleasure to introduce Dr. Mithila Pandey, a family physician and an international board certified lactation consultant. Dr. Mithili, sorry if I pronounce it not right, is the director of Mother and Child Singapore, a multidisciplinary center providing evidence-based care across pregnancy, childbirth, breastfeeding, and the postpartum period. Her work spans clinical practice, education, advocacy, and professional training with particular interest in breastfeeding medicine, maternal mental health, and integrating lactation support into routine healthcare. She previously served as president of the Breastfeeding Mother Support Group Singapore and currently serves as a committee member of the Association of Breastfeeding Advocacy in Singapore. Dr. Mithili, we look forward to hear from you and from experience in Singapore. The floor is yours.
Thank you. Just bear with me while I share my screen. Thank you. Hang on 1 second. Let me just pop this on. Sorry, bear with me, please.
You want me to share your slides? I can do that. Okay.
Do this 1 second. I don't know if this works. Let's see. Can you see this? I think I might need you to help me with this. I'm sorry. Apologies. I might need you to help me with the slides. I think it's not working on my end for some reason. Okay, well, thank you. Thank you for the lovely introduction. My name is Maithili. I am a family physician and an IBCLC currently practicing in Singapore. I'm also involved in quite a lot of work with ABAS, which is the Association for Breastfeeding Advocacy in Singapore, and the Breastfeeding Mother Support Group, where I serve as the lead trainer for peer counselors. I would like to share a little bit more about what breastfeeding support looks like in Singapore, where the gaps remain, and what we're learning from our mothers of today. The next slide, please. All right, well, Singapore actually does really well in terms of their breastfeeding initiation. So almost 97% of mothers initiate breastfeeding. And at hospital discharge, about 2/3 of them are actually breastfeeding exclusively. But that number falls to quite a dismal 36% at 2 months. And then at 6 months, only 3% is exclusively breastfeeding in 6 months. So it's not that I think Singapore needs convincing that breastfeeding is important. I think they already know that. But the challenge is creating the conditions that can allow them to continue breastfeeding for as long as they want. Next slide, please. And I think one of the most important things would be as we have increased recently our parental leave. So mothers often get 16 weeks of maternity leave, and we have now increased it to shared parental leave of an extra 8 weeks. So if a mother is now keen on taking a longer stretch of leave out, it can be 24 weeks, which counts to 6 months. So I think that might be something that might help boost our numbers. So in this slide, you see that breastfeeding in Singapore is supported by a very large ecosystem. We have currently at the top 8 hospitals that are maternity hospitals, and 50% of them are baby-friendly hospitals. Okay, and we have about 30,000 births, and obviously there is a decline, as you all might know, of almost 11% of birth rates in Singapore, which is quite, again, a problem. But we'll talk about all of the other things. We have a large number of lactation consultants, so a lot of counselors who were trained by the Breastfeeding Mother Support Group have become lactation consultants. We've got lots of primary care services which have lactation consultants in them as well. We'll speak a little bit more about the Breastfeeding Mother Support Group. And then we are supported by ABAS, which serves to provide the BFHI in Singapore, and lots of different lay people, right? Employers, domestic helpers, grandparents, family, and the community as well. Okay, so that's a significant strength. We have people to help us. It's whether there is going to be an issue where a mom is going to be able to take on that whole definition of breastfeeding. So we also have to be quite cognizant of the fact that our take-up rate of prenatal education, of childbirth education, or even breastfeeding is actually quite low from my experience in Singapore and working in the community. Next slide, please. We'll talk about the Breastfeeding Mother Support Group, because that is where our ground up initiative of breastfeeding is. It is the only dedicated breastfeeding charity that has been supporting women in Singapore for more than 30 years. And these are trained volunteer peer counselors. So they are lay people, basically, who provide free mother-to-mother support through phone, WhatsApp, workshops, resources, Facebook chats, and through community activities as well. And I think what's particularly valuable is the combination of peer support and appropriate referrals. So sometimes when a mother needs some support and reassurance from another mother, it's there. But if she does need a clinical assessment by an IBCLC or a breastfeeding support doctor, we actually have dedicated people who will be able to support these women as well. So we do have a community referral list as well. So knowing the difference between needing peer support and referral system is actually really quite important. Next slide, please. And I think we've spoken quite a lot about the warm chain. And for me, this is where the biggest gaps in Singapore remains. So families often leave the hospital within 2 to 3 days after birth, and just as the milk production is actually stepping in. And feeding difficulties will only start emerging when the milk starts coming in, typically. And suddenly the mother has left a very structured healthcare environment and is now at the mercy of a lot of other well-meaning supporters like your family, like social media, confinement nannies, which is a massive thing here in Singapore, domestic helpers, friends, and sometimes even healthcare professionals who might not understand breastfeeding as well as we'd like them to. And as we all know, that advice isn't always consistent. So I think supporting the mother often means supporting the people around her, not just with information, but education. And that's where we need to be, informing people more about breastfeeding and its importance there. So this slide talks about community support, and this is where community-based care becomes so important. So in my own practice, we provide lactation consultations, home visit, antenatal education, but we also run a community group called the Baby Cafe. And that's where we have mothers who are breastfeeding, some of them are mixed feeding, some of them are formula feeding. But at the same time, I think as mothers are also watching other people breastfeed, they need to know that that part was difficult too. And community support doesn't replace skilled clinical care. And that's something that we are learning more and more about. It extends it, right? So it gives mothers somewhere to go before a small concern becomes a crisis. Next slide, please. Can you go back? Thank you. All right. So this is what Singaporean mothers tell us. And this is a journal that was published in the Singapore Medical Journal, article in 2026. But this is information that has been collated over the last couple of years. So in this study, almost half of the women reported nipple pain as one of the reasons for them stopping breastfeeding. 45% were perceived to have low milk supply, and nearly 40% again had experienced engorgement. Now, these aren't problems of motivation. These are practical breastfeeding difficulties, and sometimes it's modifiable just with skilled and timely support. It also found that, partners were an extremely valuable source of support, followed by healthcare professionals. So again, breastfeeding isn't something that we do in isolation in Singapore, obviously. All right, for the next slide, please. I think the next slide, thank you, which shows what World Breastfeeding Week looks like in Singapore. And in Singapore, across hospitals, professional organizations, community groups, we run talks, webinars, social media campaigns, family events. we have used to do quite a lot of events like the Big Latch On, and I don't have pictures to show you here. And we had the Breastfeeding Supporters Award, where we kind of gave an award to parents or to partners who were very crucial and integral to supporting women when they were breastfeeding as well. So yes, we also need to realize that Breastfeeding Week shouldn't only be celebrated by breastfeeding mothers, but a lot of the other professionals who are also supporting these breastfeeding women. So the partners, the families, the professionals, employers, and the communities as well. So the next slide talks about, thank you, the next slide, please. Where do we go from here? I think Singapore already has a lot of the right building blocks. And I think what really needs to be crystallized here is the warm chain. And that means better continuity between the hospital and the community. It means access to cheaper, skilled lactation support, strong peer networks as well, which is really important. Family-centered education, I think is super important. Workplaces that generally enable women to continue breastfeeding, because as in Singapore, a lot of women actually do go back to work at about 4 to 6 months, and often find that they won't have a place to pump at, or they would have a workplace that isn't really supportive of this mother breastfeeding. And so, and then of course regional collaboration around Southeast Asia, because I'm learning from you all to see there's so much of work done by the national level, and that's really inspiring for us here, for me in Singapore. The next slide, please. So the final thought on my end really is, every week I meet mothers who don't need convincing that breastfeeding really matters, but they simply need someone to stand beside them while they're learning. And breastfeeding outcomes aren't produced by mothers alone, they're produced by the systems that we have built around them. So in my opinion, World Breastfeeding Week gives us visibility for 7 days. And in those 7 days, typically we also have our National Day. And hence I'm wearing my red t-shirt, which signifies our Singapore colors. But that 7 days where we get the Breastfeeding Week visibility, our responsibility is to provide skilled, compassionate, and accessible support for the other 358 days of the year. And with that, I'll thank you.
And congratulations, for your presentation. It's good to know that they have about 24 weeks over there, for the maternity leaves. And also congratulations for publishing your works. It's good to know that, published in your journal. Right, let's now we come to the next presentation, and this will be our last country that we have for today. Oh, sorry. Let me just stop here first. And I share my screen just to share. Okay, here it is. So our last stop for today, we have our last stop for today, where we now, okay, from Thailand, we would like to welcome Dr. Kusuma Chusil, right? Okay. And Dr. Kusuma Chusil is an associate professor of pediatrics in the departments of Pediatric Faculty of Medicine, Khon Kaen University, and she is an educator in breastfeeding and clinical lactation in Thailand and representative Thai Breastfeeding Center Foundation Committee. And today we are going to learn from her about breastfeeding support in Thailand. With that, I welcome Dr. Kusuma. Please share with us.
Yes, thank you for the organization that I have the chance to speak today with the others. I'm Dr. Kusuma Chusin, and today I'm the representative of the Thai Breastfeeding Center Foundation. So what I would like to share this today is different from the other in terms that we really have the breastfeeding celebration like the other. We have the breastfeeding month, breastfeeding day, but today we still have some problem with our breastfeeding indicators. So we would like to share how to change or how to improve our indicators in the future. So Thai Breastfeeding Center Foundation, according to Dr. Siriporn Kanchana, who is the chairperson, she really very much to improve the breastfeeding rate in Thailand. And we hope that our organization will help to get the policy advocacy. We would like to working with the other government boards to protect breastfeeding and monitor the marketing of breast milk substitute. We already have the code legally produced, and we know that the people need to know about breastfeeding, so we're building up the knowledge hub, managing digital libraries and academic conference to share collect facts on infant care. Anywhere, we don't have to work only in the hospital. We also work in the workplace. We have the workplace support strategy. We helping companies build standard nursing rooms and lactation areas for working mothers, so they can produce meals and send back to the home or to another province hospital, because we would like them to get the meal and share with the family. Actually, in Thailand, the multiple indicator cluster survey that has been issued by the Thailand UNICEF, that we would like to see that how we can go on the breastfeeding journey in Thailand. At present, the mother can breastfeed 97.3%. But the children who really be on the breast, and according to the BFSI strategy, is only 29.4%. It means that most of them will initiate breastfeeding within 1 day, later within 1 hour after birth. And from that, we have the very low of exclusive breastfeeding rate of under 6 months. We are in the group of the country with the lowest exclusive breastfeeding rate. And in the past, we have a longer duration of breastfeeding, but now we continue breastfeeding at 1 year, only 31.3%. And at 1 year, at 2 years, only 18.7%. With the short duration of breastfeeding about 5.7 months average. However, this shows us that we are critically facing with the low rate of breastfeeding, both in 1 hour for the first 6 months and for the second years. However, it shows in our survey that most of the breastfeeding was the predominant breastfeeding, which interfere with by giving water and some fluids during the 2nd to 3 months. This one make us understand it and would like the community to move from giving the predominant breastfeeding to the exclusive breastfeeding. In Thailand, we work with the 3 departments at the national level: Ministry of Public Health, Breastfeeding Center Foundation, as well as the Thai Health Promotion Foundation. We would like to implement the strategic effort to accelerate the progress toward global breastfeeding goal of exclusive breastfeeding rates. So it has for us to reach the 60% by 2030. Anyway, we would like to use our health literacy framework for breastfeeding to help bridge the gap between scientific evidence and daily infant feeding practices in the community. Last year, we have the conference, it's a national one, with the collaboration between Thai Breastfeeding Center, Department of Health, and the Promotion Foundation Center. We focus on a nationwide campaign to promote exclusive breastfeeding for the first 6 months. In this meeting, we go along with the breastfeeding journey. We start with the prenatal counseling, natal work, as well as to support in the community. And then we would like most of the people in the community and in the society understand deeply how to make the breastfeeding happen. And anyway, we found that if we would like to make it happen, we should make it happy as well for the breastfeeding. And here another project that is going on in our country. Early initiation of breastfeeding is one of the projects of health literacy on breastfeeding aligned with the Baby Friendly Hospital Initiative Guidance 2018. We would to work on a hospital-based model by Dr. Yupayom, who is the obstetrician, and she would like to work hard. She is the one who has been successfully implement the breastfeeding in the workplace for a decade of years. So in terms of breastfeeding health literacy, we would like to make the mother and family to have the access for their knowledge. They should understand deeply what would be happen among the journey of breastfeeding. And they should have the decision or the right decision to use infant feeding information to make an informed decision before they give birth. So we work deeply during the antenatal care, and breastfeeding is one of the indicators to assess the MCH hospital as well. We work through structure, education, and clinical support. We have the Miss Meal, that means is the lactation support in every hospital in Thailand. Unfortunately, most of them are the government hospital, not on the private hospital. Okay. So we would like to emphasize, we believe that if we can early initiation of breastfeeding right way, we can elevate the exclusive breastfeeding during the 6 months. So now we try to introduce to all the organization involved that early initiation of breastfeeding is not the same as we understand. In the past, they put the baby to the mother, maybe only put and sometimes just put the nipple into the infant's mouth. But here we would like to share them not to do that, but we will start with the early skin-to-skin contact. So we will tell them that if they don't work like this, will be the risk with the infant. For example, there will increase in infant mortality due to infection, as well as we will have shorter duration of the breastfeeding. Anyway, we try to comment about the gut colonization delays that occur. If the mother can deliver the baby via vaginal, we hope that they can get more gut colonization in the future. So maternal health and physiological challenges increase delay uterine contraction. That's why the mother still have more problems about anemia and not sufficient milk for the baby. At present, we try to develop and adapt the BFHI 2008 into the Thai version. So we hope that the staff and the other are in the public understanding. They can study the BFHI 10 step to successful breastfeeding by themselves by using the Thai version. So the 10 step seem to be one effective meal to change the behavior of the staff as well as the mothers. So the guidance that we put, so we make them understand that step 4 is the most important step. They should facilitate immediate and uninterrupted in skin-to-skin contact and support mother to initiate breastfeeding as soon as possible. This is the word that we try to make the photo and make them understand. In our project, we try to show them with the video that we produce by them, by us, and then they produce by themselves to teach the patient before birth and then to understand for the staff to make it as soon as possible in the delivery room. before we have developed the literacy, we try to understand the determinants of the exclusive breastfeeding and the reason why not initiate breastfeeding within 1 hour. So we found that vaginal delivery increased adjusted oath of 2.1 times to increase the breastfeeding in the first hour, but it reduced in those who have the cesarean section. Those who don't have skin-to-skin contact will have the early initiation only by 57%. The higher exclusive breastfeeding initiation depends on the antenatal care provided by the nurse and the normal birth weight of the baby. The lower one affected by the private practices. The mother who is more than 35 years old seem to be less apt to initiate the breastfeeding within 1 hour, while the younger mother start earlier but not fully practices. It seems to be that the high education level will be the obstacle to the initiation of breastfeeding in the first hour. So in the step 4, we would like to show them the benefits of skin-to-skin for breastfeeding success. And then we have to make them to understand that how early skin-to-skin contact help the baby to trust and supporting their innate ability to find the breast and initiate breastfeeding on their own. A pregnant woman's knowledge about breastfeeding, we should emphasize about the temperature that can be normal with the baby on her chest. If they use the early skin-to-skin contact, the placenta expels its timely manner, following the surge of the maternal oxytocin release. The surge of the oxytocin resulting in adequate uterine evolution and it secures the milk production. So one thing that we look for is that there should be less stress for the mother during the early skin-to-skin contact by the observation of low serum creatinine. The pregnant women should know that they should be facilitated to have the early skin-to-skin contact because of the release of the hormones, the bonding between the mother and the baby, as well as the movement of the baby will trigger the brain function at birth. A pregnant woman should be feel well-being. They will have less depressive symptoms and they will have time and eager to look after the baby. The baby may calm and her baby more easily to breastfeed. This one we would like to show very much that not interrupted skin-to-skin contact will result in the low hormone secretion and the baby's cortisol will be higher. That indicated that they have a higher stress. Now, those who don't have the skin-to-skin contact will have the temperature problems and hypoglycemia as well. If skin-to-skin contact is interrupted, one thing that will happen is the microbiome being contaminated through skin and the high innate sequence of the newborn that affected by the separation. So the delay and completion of this innate process will delay the pre-feeding behavior. In conclusion, Thailand needs the immediate support for the early initiation of breastfeeding to help literacy model development in baby-friendly hospital initiative. The training program refines the health system, strengthening through Thai adaptation of the World Health Organization and UNICEF 2018 BFHI guidance, And so the next thing that we are going to do is the competency verification. We should make sure that our staff can help the mother in the right way. They should have the sufficient knowledge. They should have life skill to initiate the breastfeeding. If they can initiate breastfeeding well, the problem of exclusive breastfeeding should be licensed in the future. Thank you very much for your attention.
Thank you
Anyway,
very much.
not yet. Amit, I forgot. Dr. Silapon, who is the one who will chair in this section, she has something to do. And she is the one who tried to make the breastfeeding happen in the sixth baby in the NICU. Now she would like to announce that the Queen Sirikit National Institute of Child Health in Bangkok had the successful integration of the breastfeeding sick baby program into routine care for premature and low birth weight infants across all 13 health regions of Thailand. Remarkably, the incidence of exclusive breastfeeding among the vulnerable infant is higher than the normal baby. It's about 40% as now. We would like to give the sincere thanks to Dr. Diane Spart from CHOP, whose guidance and support have been invaluable throughout this journey. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Dr. Kusuma. That's very interesting work that we're doing over there. And we wish you success for your next toolkit verification. Okay. So
Thank you
today we
very
have
much.
heard experience from India, Indonesia, Malaysia, Philippines, Singapore, and Thailand. And what is very clear is that although we come from different countries and healthcare settings, okay, we share many common goals and challenges. As you can see across the presentations, we have seen the importance of strengthening breastfeeding support within healthcare system, developing breastfeeding and lactation medicine, educating, training healthcare professionals, supporting mothers, and continuing advocacy breastfeeding at professionals and community levels. So now the next question is, how can we build on what we have shared today? If I can bring, together today, moving forward, there are many possibilities that we can work more closely across country, through professionals, networking, sharing educations, advocacy, and perhaps talking about, our future World Breastfeeding Week activities in the next coming years. However, due to the time that we have very limited today, and we may not be able to explore all the possibilities, we hope that today's webinar can be a starting point rather than ending points. And we encourage that everyone to continue the conversations after the webinar. I can also see that some of the questions here asked, if they can have the recording, and Nichols have actually responded. And we hope to post the webinar in our websites, and hopefully, that can be reached by many more people. Right, so we come towards the end of our presentation for today, and I would like to welcome, before we end our webinar, Prof. Julie Ware, our President of Academy of Breastfeeding Medicine, to give a closing remarks for our webinar today. The floor is yours, Julie.
Thank you so much, Zahara. Just want to say wow to all of you. Happy World Breastfeeding Week from all of us at ABM. Nicole, are you sharing? Oh, thank you. I want to thank all of you for this amazing trip to Southeast Asia today to learn all the wonderful things you are doing for breastfeeding. I know I am so inspired by all the work. I've been taking notes, and I know our ABM membership across the world will be inspired by you as well. And I do hope that you'll share the recording in your connection points, because this is just amazing work. And I, like Zahara, would like to go through all the wonderful things I noted, but I want to thank also, especially Zahara, for pulling this together, for first having the idea and then bringing it together to such an amazing first webinar from around the world for us at ABM. Thank you, thank you, thank you. And thank Nicole, our executive director, and the staff for the backbone of making all this work. Next slide. In the last minute, I would just like to invite you to join us as a member of ABM, if you're not already a member of ABM, and to register for our Toronto conference. Just think about all the connections we could make together in person or virtually. We have produced for you a promotion code for membership and for registration, a 15% off that we would like to offer you during this World Breastfeeding Week. So I hope some of you will be able to take advantage of that. And then next slide. If you are in need of travel support to get to Toronto, we are delighted to have our international travel scholarships that are open for application through August 30th. So we would love for you to apply if that could help you get to us so we can be together. And finally, last slide, we need you. I mean, just listening to everything you're doing, ABM needs you to be part of our volunteer team. And we have so many opportunities that have recently been launched, whether you're interested in leadership, committees, might be the conference committee, might be the protocol committee. All of you have so much to share, and we would love you to join us. And that slide shows you how to connect. And then finally, lastly, thank you again for helping us celebrate World Breastfeeding Week around the world. And Zahara, again, for pulling this together. And I was just inspired by, I think it was Mithili that said the other 358 days. You all work so hard during this week. I know taking your time to come here during the busiest week for all of us was incredible, but we have the 358 extra days to work, and I know you all will be doing it. So thank you again. I hope to see you in person, and thanks for being with us today.
Thank you, Julie, for your final notes for our webinar today. And with that, we have come to the end of our ABM World Breastfeeding Week 2026 webinar with the team Southeast Asia perspective on breastfeeding support. Once again, thank you, Julie, all our speaker, the ABM team, and everyone who joined us today. So I'm just writing here certain words from different country. Dayabat, right? From India. Terima kasih from Malaysia and Indonesia. Salamat from Philippines. Thank you from Singapore, and Kokum Ka from Thailand. Thank you, everyone. Bye-bye, and see you next time.